Alright, welcome. So I'm assuming you're here to learn about this car a little bit. You might be buying it, maybe you even already have one. This is the FMS FJ Cruiser. It's 18 scale. However, this chassis is used on, by chassis I mean the bottom side of it, the frame rails and everything down here, is used on, I think, there's a couple other models. There's the Rock Hobby version of this, which is, it's the same truck, but there's no branding on it or anything. It's not called the Toyota FJ Cruiser. It's on the Rock Hobby Firehorse, which is a Jeep copy that also is not officially licensed, but it's the same car, underside-wise, this chassis here. And I believe there are one or two more. I can't remember them off the top of my head. So I love this car. I've had it for, God, 2 years now, maybe. It's crazy to say that, but yeah, I think that's true. 2 years, and it's been my first rock crawler. It's been my first real scale car. Now something you'll notice is the front bumper here is missing. I took that off because I get a little bit, better attack angle with the tires, because it's not necessarily in the way that much, but still I just think kind of helps, and I kind of like the look without it. But the bumper on the EZRC, that's what it is, EZRC Triton, I think it is, which is blue, and it's the same car, but it's cheaper because it's less detailed. I like the bumper on that one a lot, and I think I might buy it and put it on here. So I've heard a lot of people say that these smaller cars are, they're only for indoors and you can't take these outdoors, and that is absolutely wrong. As you'll see in this video, all the footage I have of it driving is outdoors. It's really cool outdoors, but it's not like you're walking along with it, because it'll go walking speeds, but the motor gets hot pretty quickly if you're going full throttle all the time. The only parts I've had to replace on it is the motor itself. You can see it's tucked up in there. It's a little silver can, and then it goes into a little transfer case, sends it out to the front and back. You'll notice that there's a wire sitting up in the windshield. That was just a mistake. I believe that's for the rear lights, the reversing lights. And I was putting it back together and I forgot it there. But also on the board in here, it's a little hard to see, and I actually don't know where the connections are. But in here, the little pins that were for the reverse lights, I was disassembling the car to clean it because it was really dirty, and accidentally broke the pins off. One of the downsides of this car is the speed controller / receiver is not replaceable. I have not found parts on FMS's website or kind of anywhere for that. Maybe you'll find one on eBay, who knows, I haven't looked. It's got the, let me turn it on. So it's blinking, which means it's looking for the radio. Turn the radio on, and it's solid. So I love the scale features of this car. It's got the blinkers, left and right, and then on the remote there is there's an A/B mode switch all the way at the top here. Might be a little hard to see. There you go. A/B mode. If you put it in the B mode and then you hit this button, which says LED right next to it, I'm gonna tap that and the lights change. So those are kind of high beams. These are hazards. That's off. Lights off with blinkers. And then this is no lights at all. One thing this car does have, which I don't because I accidentally broke it, like I said earlier, is reverse lights. There's two little lights in here, and they normally light up when you go in reverse, but Unfortunately, mine is broken, so I can't show you that. The downsides of this car obviously is the size, you know. There's plenty of obstacles to go over, and I think this car is great for people who are on a budget and you don't have all these big rocks for these 10 scale crawlers to go on. You know, like I'm on the East Coast, so I do have that, and I'm hoping to get a 10 scale crawler soon. But you know, tree roots, just paths and rocky hills and everything. This thing is awesome on them. Another thing different about mine, inside the fender well, I don't know if you're going to be able to see, focus up in there. So you can see that kind of hole poking through. So the shock is next to it, and there's actually two holes. There's a hole with a little post on the top, and then below it there's just a hole with no post. I actually, on all sides, I've put the shocks in the hole with no post. And they're not like tight in there, because if you tighten them down, the shocks don't want to move that well. But it gives the car just a little bit more height, and I'm pretty sure that actually helps it out a lot. Something else I took off is the rock sliders that were here, or steps, because I think there were more steps than rock sliders. But I could see it getting caught on those. I don't remember it getting caught on them when I had them on. It's a little springy, but for this model, that's perfectly fine. It's really not. It's scale, yes, but you also want it to perform and move around when you're on the trail. Speaking of the shocks moving around this side, so this is a little bit more dramatic because I think the screw is a little too tight. But even when this truck is normally running and it's stock height, there's a little bit of, like, I'm going to push down on the center. You'll see it kind of favors to go down on that side than it does the other. There's kind of a little bit of stiffness here, and that's just because of the steering geometry. Now that it's even higher, it's worse, but it's not that big of a deal. In this configuration, it's kind of a little bit more noticeable when going over obstacles, but I don't really mind that much. On the topic of the stiffness in that front right shock, I'm going to give you a demonstration of what I'm talking about. So let me get this connected here. Turn it on. Now my switch also came off. It was just glued on. I just haven't glued it back down yet. So let's see. Got this. And let me get some more. These are sanding blocks. Alright, so if I come at this one, hopefully it stays there. So the flex in the wheel, you'll see that I'm going to do this on both sides. The wheel is kind of just pushing up, and it's staying at the same ride height. And the rear wheel in the back left, is doing a lot of the work back here. It's getting real tucked up under the body. Oh, disconnect it for a second. There we go. Doesn't normally do that, but I think I just moved the controller wrong. So now let me show you what the other side does. Why stop doing that? So same thing, right? What is going on with this controller? So same thing, but this time it's not that noticeable. However, it is there. This wheel is now more up into the body than it was on this side, where it's kind of just at its stock ride height. And the wheel back here is still doing some work, but I'd argue it's not doing as much technically. What is this remote doing? It's like whenever I move it, connection gets loose. Alright. So let's go over, I don't know, let's try and do some capabilities here. Because I think this car, for what it is very capable. It's a blast. Oh yeah. Now here, I'm not sure if it's going to make it over this, but this is why I raise those shocks. Give it a little bit more ground clearance. It's a little too high. Now, I think some technique could get you out of that if you went in kind of sideways. Alright, well, it's not working too well. Let's see here. Let's try something like that. Now, I could see getting over this and then wanting to tip over. So I'm going to throw this here. No problem. So I'm going to come down the block, but it's very close to coming off the bench. Into the camera. Hello. But the slow crawl control with this truck is great. It's really good. I'm gonna try and go as slow as I can. Which on this is, if it doesn't get stuck on anything, is very slow. It's not fast at all. So I'll start back here, and then maybe try and do that. Look at that. Yeah, I knew it was going to happen. Well, that's fine. So move these off to the side, and something else I want to demonstrate is this thing has a lot of torque. A lot of torque. This will pull my hand across the table. Like, I'm just going to leave this as dead weight. Let me just do that. I'm not doing anything. Just pulling my hand across the table. I don't know if I have anything that is good weight around here. It's not that heavy, but just a point, I'm not pushing it. Something else I think they could have done is these tires. They're very nice and soft, but I feel like they're just very slightly too hard. I think out on, you know, some slick surfaces, a little bit more squish would be appreciated. These are great. They have a lot of squish in them, but it can just take a little bit sometimes to really get it down.